So, are we having fun yet? In seminary, I had a New Testament professor who was enamored with the subject of joy. He was a scholar, but he was unusually grounded for being an intellectual. And I would regularly go to his office and talk theology. But in our visits, he would invariably want to bring the conversation back to joy. He'd say things like, Pete, the early church was defined by unbridled joy. It was our hallmark above all else. And time and again, he would walk me through passage after passage, reminding me of the joy that was so reminiscent in the early church. He'd say, look, right here, Acts 2:28, Acts 8:8, Acts 13:52, 15:3, 20:24, and he would just walk through those. And then he would conclude the conversation by saying, Pete, never lose sight of this. You can miss a lot of things about the church, but don't miss this. For the early Christians, the joy of the Lord wasn't simply a theological abstraction. It was a lived out, vibrant, personal reality. It functioned as a kind of superpower, providing dramatic contrast from those whose lives were dominated by the hatred for the harsh oppression they were experiencing under Roman rule. The believer's joy, born from a genuine encounter with the risen Christ, was not Pollyanna. It was not a denial of their difficulties. Rather, their time and attention was drawn to greater purpose and a higher calling, which was to know the Lord and to make him known. That was their joy. And their joy became so compelling, it turned the world upside down. Jesus said it plainly, my joy will be in you, and your joy will be full. John 15:11. Now, as I look around today, the world screams with outrage, even in the church. We are fueled by a constant churn of anger and division. We're bombarded with narratives of conflict and crisis, and we're drawn in, where we too feel like we must make our voices heard. So we enter the fray. We make our points and rail against the injustices. We pull out our Bibles and we quote our favorite verses. Our words may be different, but our methods are the same. And we wonder why no one's listening. Even the mere suggestion that we reconsider our joy factor feels like an outlandish proposal given all the things that are going on today. But is it? Is it possible that we've forgotten that the one most authentic expression of our faith in the world is joy? Not because of our circumstances, but because we know one who stands above our circumstances. He invites us into this audacious proposal that we know joy in the midst of darkness. And the sad truth is that if we're not embodying that fundamental reality, we're not just failing to reflect the truth about God, we're actually creating a wall between him and a joy-starved world. Now, I don't want to be at risk of being that guy. Do you? So I found myself back to this fundamental reality that my hope and joy is not a product of my bank account, my social standing, or who's in the White House. My joy is in the Lord who has graciously forgiven me and set my feet on a very different path. He has redeemed every hardship and turned what was meant for evil and made it good. I am his beloved, and he invites me into his good work. All of this still amazes me when I take the time to ponder it. But that means stepping away from constant infighting and reconnecting to my more fundamental purpose, to revel in the wonder of creation, to reflect the ways of Jesus, to remind myself of the goodness of heaven, and to take delight in meaningful fellowship, which can't help but reignite the joy and wonder of my faith. So what's the result of doing that? Well, here's the truth. I may not win every argument. I may even come across as a little simplistic and unsophisticated. But this much I do know. Embodying and genuinely radiating this Spirit-inspired joy will build a kind of credibility and connection that will actually make room for my voice, at the times when it's needed most.